Okay, you are absolutely not imagining things. Did you see that story about the pickup truck?
The one in Brazil.
Yeah, flying over sand dunes and then, get this, landing on buggies.
Wild. Yeah, I saw it.
It sounds completely made up, right?
Yeah.
But nope, it was real. It was actually on the news.
It's amazing what captures attention, isn't it?
Mm.
Something so visual, so out there. It just cuts through everything else for a moment.
Totally. And that's kind of what we're digging into today on the deep dive. We've got this, well, truly bizarre truck incident. Then there's this whole social media storm that brewed up over a luxury handbag.
Right, the authenticity debate.
Exactly. And also a really interesting, maybe slightly provocative idea about mindsets. You know, how the wealthy versus those with less might approach things differently.
And they seem like totally separate things, right? A flying truck, a handbag, life philosophy.
It's on the surface, completely disconnected.
But I think when you start looking closer, you see these threads, these overlaps about, well, human behavior, how we interact, maybe what we value.
Right. So that's the mission today. We're taking these news bits, the social media chatter, and just pulling out the most interesting stuff.
Yeah, kind of the key takeaways, maybe spark some of those aha moments for you listening.
Exactly, without drowning you in like endless detail. Okay, so that truck, the flying truck, what was your first thought seeing that?
Well, beyond just the wow factor, the sheer audacity of it, I think the news anchor called it.
Audacity, yeah.
This happened in Canoa Quebrada, Ceará, Saturday.
Hmm.
And it wasn't just, a little hop. This guy, a businessman, apparently,
Yeah.
in what sounds like a brand new Ram truck, just floors it over a dune and, well, achieves liftoff.
A businessman in a brand new Ram, you have to wonder what possesses someone.
Impulse, showing off, hard to say.
And then it just slams down onto these poor buggies parked below.
Yeah, and the driver, the report said he fainted right after hitting them. Had to be hospitalized.
Any word on how he is?
No, that wasn't disclosed. Not in what we saw anyway.
Okay. And the truck itself must have been totaled.
Oh, the damage sounded significant. Burst tires, bent chassis. They needed a tow truck to haul it out, for sure.
And what about that flight distance? I saw some reports mentioning like 85 meters. That seems huge.
Yeah, that figure seems a bit, perhaps exaggerated. One video we looked at, someone mentioned it, but then quickly corrected to more than 10 meters.
Okay, 10 meters is still pretty impressive airtime for a pickup truck.
Absolutely. Still remarkable. Still lands you on top of some buggies.
Right. And the news coverage itself was kind of interesting. Globo News covered it.
Uh-huh.
And the anchor apparently led with, as incredible as it may seem, it's not fake.
Which tells you just how bizarre it looked, doesn't it? Like they had to convince the viewers it actually happened.
Totally. And the host of that segment, Ricardo Diaz, he seemed almost like amused by it, a bit sarcastic.
Yeah, he apparently treated it a bit like gossip, kind of poked fun at the anchors, maybe slightly breathless delivery. But she did use that word audacity.
Audacity feels right. That mix of, I don't know, recklessness and daring.
And it seems the authorities lean towards recklessness. The civil police opened an inquiry.
For what? Dangerous driving?
Actually, for environmental crime.
Environmental crime, really? For driving on a dune?
Well, yeah, those dune areas are often protected ecosystems.
Yeah.
So driving on them, especially like that, can be a serious violation. Damaging vegetation, disrupting the area.
Ah, okay, that makes more sense.
And the local government, Aracati City Hall, they said they plan to increase monitoring there. Suggests maybe this isn't the first time people have driven where they shouldn't.
So, okay, stepping back from the viral clip,
Mm-hmm.
what's the bigger picture here? What does this whole thing tell us?
Well, I think it definitely taps into our fascination with the extreme, right? Pushing limits.
Yeah.
Maybe that sense of, I don't know, invincibility, especially perhaps tied to a new expensive purchase like that Ram.
Like a status thing gone wrong.
Could be. And you can't ignore the attention aspect either, can you? In our world today, was it purely impulsive, or was there maybe even subconsciously a performative element? Like, look what I can do.
That's a really good point, that performance element. Okay, let's switch gears completely now. From flying trucks to handbags.
Right. This involved Camilla de Lucas, from Big Brother Brazil.
Yep.
And her Chanel bag. All of a sudden, people online started questioning if it was real, like a flood of comments.
Wow, just out of the blue. Or did something trigger it?
It wasn't entirely clear what sparked it initially, but the scrutiny got intense really fast.
And she didn't just ignore it, did she?
Oh, definitely not. She pushed back.
Hard.
What did she say? Well, she basically said, look, I have the proof. I've got the serial number. It's linked to my Chanel account. I keep my receipts, laying out the evidence.
Okay. Seems straightforward enough.
But what really seemed to ignite the whole thing was her comment connecting it to race. She specifically mentioned, Prita using Bolsa de Chanel, a black woman using a Chanel bag.
Ah, so she felt the skepticism was because of who she is.
That's what she implied, yeah. That maybe people weren't questioning the bag itself, but questioning her right to own such a bag, calling the messages she got audacious and abusive.
That adds a whole different layer to it.
It does. And Ricardo Diaz, the same commentator from the truck story, he weighed in on this too.
Oh, yeah. What was his take? Still sarcastic?
Pretty much, yeah. He sort of questioned if her really strong defensive reaction maybe, possibly, hinted that it wasn't real. Almost like, why protest so much?
Ooh, interesting angle. Kind of provocative.
Yeah, and he even mentioned Clogoville, who is known for sometimes wearing fakes, suggesting that sometimes fame itself can kind of substitute for authenticity in some people's eyes.
So Dias was sort of mocking the whole fuss about whether it was real or not.
Seemed like it, almost poking fun at how sensitive the issue became, like the very act of needing to defend it so fiercely was itself a bit suspect to him.
It's fascinating, isn't it? Why is there such intense focus on who owns luxury stuff? What's driving that scrutiny?
It's complex, right? It touches on class, status, perceptions of who deserves wealth or who belongs in certain spaces.
Yeah.
Who gets to carry a Chanel bag without anyone batting an eye and who gets challenged. And social media just pours gasoline on that fire, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Instant judgment spreads like wildfire, often with zero actual facts.
Exactly. It really makes you think about those hidden assumptions and biases people carry around.
Definitely food for thought there. Okay, so for our final piece of this deep dive, we're shifting again, this time to mindset.
Right. We looked at this discussion comparing basically mindsets attributed to people with less money versus wealthier individuals.
Okay. What was the core idea?
Well, the idea presented was that a quote-unquote poor mindset tends to focus more on immediate pleasure, enjoying the weekend leisure time, maybe sometimes at the expense of longer-term financial building.
So, like, prioritizing that Saturday barbecue over working overtime, even if the overtime pays well?
Kinda, yeah, that immediate enjoyment versus future gain. Whereas the rich mindset was framed as the opposite.
Focused on the long game.
Exactly. Focused on long-term goals, willing to delay gratification, work weekends, work holidays, if it serves that future objective. There's this quote used, poor people do what they like, rich people do what's convenient.
Wow. That's stark. Convenient, meaning convenient for achieving those long-term goals, I guess.
That seemed to be the implication, yeah. But it's important to say this is a very simplified framework, right? It doesn't account for systemic issues, opportunity, starting points.
Sure. Lots of caveats there. But as a concept, how did Ricardo Dias react to that one?
He offered a bit more nuance. He said, yeah, he knows plenty of wealthy people who definitely fit that mold, sacrificed a lot of present enjoyment to build their fortune.
Oh, wait, so he acknowledged that part.
He did. But then he raised the counterpoint. What's the point of having all that money when you're, say, 70 or 80 if your health is gone and you don't have the energy or vitality to actually enjoy it?
The classic trade-off. Enjoy life now or save it all for later when you might not be able to enjoy it.
Precisely. And he contrasted that with people who maybe live more for the moment now, really enjoy their youth and middle age, but might face financial hardship later on.
It's a tough balance.
It is. He called it a faca de doigt légume. He meant faca de doigt gume, a double-edged sword.
Soft chuckle, knife of two vegetables.
Yeah, slight mispronunciation, but the meaning was clear. Both approaches have their potential downsides. It's a trade-off either way.
It really makes you, the listener, think, doesn't it? Which path resonates more with you?
Absolutely. Where do your priorities lie? Is there even a right answer, or is it totally personal? It pushes you to think about your own values around work, play, and the future.
And how you define success beyond just the bank balance, maybe.
Exactly. Life satisfaction, fulfillment. Okay, so bringing these three things together as we wrap up. The flying truck, the handbag drama, the mindset debate.
Seems so separate at the start.
Yeah, but maybe the truck is like an extreme example of chasing that immediate thrill, that instant attention.
No, B. And the handbag.
That really highlights all the social stuff, right? The judgments, the status anxiety, who belongs where, amplified by social media.
Right, and the mindset discussion.
That gets more fundamental, doesn't it?
Yeah.
How we approach time, work, pleasure, our whole vision for our lives.
So different scales maybe, but all tapping into these core human desires, assumptions, and how we navigate the world today.
Which kind of leaves us, and you listening, with a final thought to chew on maybe.
Okay.
In this world we live in that's just saturated with instant gratification, constant comparison. How do you define success? What does that really mean? And how do you find that balance? And maybe it's always shifting between really living in the present, enjoying now, and also planning responsibly for the future. Is one mindset truly better, or is it just different strokes for different folks, depending on your life and what you value most?
Yeah, definitely something to keep thinking about.